and welcome to this webinar on plan review and documentation for commercial building code compliance with the 2012 International Energy Conservation Code, Maryland New Energy Code. The presentation was produced by the Maryland Energy Administration with American Recovery and Reinvestment Act funding. Webinar number 6 in a series of webinars focused on training design professionals, general contractors, and trades in energy code compliance. Today, we will be discussing approaches that can be taken to help ensure compliance with the 2012 IECC. Maryland adopted the 2012 IECC as state law in January of 2012. Local jurisdictions were required to begin enforcement of the 2012 IECC by July of 2012. This focuses on details needed to comply with the state law and the energy code. Building is the largest sector for energy consumption in the United States. As you see, 39% of energy use is associated with commercial buildings. And in buildings, energy is the largest expense to maintain and operate the building, with a 30% share of the building's energy consumption. Commercial realm. The building is commonly bid, built, and tested according to the set of instructions given to the general contractor. These instructions are usually in the form of drawings, specifications, and addenda created both in the design and bidding phases of a commercial project. This is the blueprint from which everything in the structure is described in sufficient detail to be built accordingly. The better documentation, the smoother the construction, and the higher probability of compliance with the energy code. And for the energy code can and have been allocated to design professionals administrating the construction project in some counties, as these professionals will generally be on site much more often than a code official. In this type of arrangement, an affidavit at the end of the project is provided to demonstrate compliance with the construction documentation and the energy code throughout the construction process. In order to demonstrate compliance, documentation can be in the form of any of the following. It can be all drawing documentation. It can be supplemented by specification books or project manuals. Additional forms and checklists may be necessary, such as ComCheck reports and checklists, or performance-based software compliance reports and checklists. Some jurisdictions require beyond code compliance and include these checklists and forms. These may be LEED or green globes, just to name a few. Written in the code is an entire list of items that a code official can and will expect to see in a set of construction documents submitted for building permit. Of course, sufficient clarity and detail is left somewhat to interpretation, and most code officials will be looking for more documentation rather than less. One item that I've never seen on a set of drawings is the compliance path that has been chosen. Submitting a ComCheck report easily indicates the UA alternative approach to compliance, but a simple statement on the code review sheets should be provided. As a matter of fact, it would be extremely beneficial to add the energy code review to the typical code review sheets. Not only would this save time during plan review process, but it would also help to ensure that the design professional is thinking about energy compliance, and not just with the life safety codes. You can see the top 6 most common code-related document deficiencies. Usually specifications are not provided, missing heating and cooling load calcs are not there, RUs or U factors are not provided, missed fenestration information, water systems equipment and information, and commissioning plan and requirements are generally not provided on the documents. Code information, typically life safety and egress information, is included in the code compliance sheets usually found at the beginning of the set of construction documents. Generally, energy-related code items are not included on this sheet. Additional information regarding energy should be added to energy code review sheets. This should include compliance path chosen, installation levels, U factors, solar heat gain coefficients, narratives on mechanical controls, lighting controls, and commissioning plan as well. Here is a very simple example of one building that used this table to demonstrate compliance with many of the building thermal envelope requirements following the prescriptive path. screenshot of the project tab within the ComCheck software. ComCheck is a quick and easy way to convey much of the energy code requirements for plan review when it's related to envelope, interior lighting, exterior lighting, and mechanical. ComCheck quickly and easily demonstrates compliance and makes the job of the plan reviewer that much easier. The professionals should expect the plan reviewer to still be verifying whether the information on the ComCheck reports coincide with the information that is elsewhere in the drawings and specifications. This is an example of a mechanical checklist that ComCheck generates based on the input from the design professional. It provides an item-by-item checklist to help demonstrate compliance as well as guides designers for necessary information. Yes, these rarely are incorporated into the actual documentation that is used to construct the building, but the practice of including these actual reports and checklists to the drawing set is starting to become more and more prevalent. This actually is a very good practice to get into as it helps to demonstrate energy compliance to the code official. HVAC has many requirements in the new code, some of which are mandatory and some of which are very nuanced, with if the building does this or the occupancy is that, then the mechanical system shall do this or include that. There are two paths for HVAC compliance, either simple systems or complex systems. Many commercial projects fall under the complex system requirements. Let's take a look at some of the mandatory provisions. Heating, cooling, load calcs, equipment system sizing, AC equipment performance, controls, ventilation, ER requirements, and note the picture illustrating the controls by zone above. Mandatory requirements include duct and plenum insulation and sealing, piping insulation, systems commissioning, air system design and control, and outdoor heating. Most commissioning solely as testing during the end of the construction phase. However, commissioning is in fact a collaborative process for planning, delivering, and operating buildings that work as intended. ASHRAE defines commissioning as the process of ensuring that systems are designed, installed, functionally tested, and capable of being operated and maintained to perform in conformity with the design intent. Commissioning begins with planning and includes design, construction startup, acceptance training, and can be applied throughout the life of the building. Commissioning encompasses a holistic approach to building design through construction and beyond into facilities management and maintenance. Heating does not have a tab within ComCheck, so it must be described elsewhere in documentation. Design professionals need to clearly demonstrate compliance with minimum efficiencies for service water heating equipment, and many times this can be accomplished by simply adding a column or two to the service water heating equipment schedule. Control the equipment as well as the state equipment as well as state where hot water piping insulation is to be installed and to what level R values does the insulation on the pipes need to be. For power and lighting systems, design professionals need to describe compliance with electric energy consumption, condition of ballasts, minimum lighting power for interior applications, minimum acceptable exterior lighting equipment, and systems controls. Here's an example of some of the lighting controls as documented on the drawings. This plan clearly shows switching and wiring of devices. Elsewhere on the lighting plan sheet is notes also helping to show compliance with lighting systems controls in the energy code. Of course, there are many options with which to convey the required information. Finally, to reiterate, graph information on drawings, textual information on drawings, descriptive and/or performance information in the spec book, contract or other approved software to help help demonstrate compliance. And again, in the building realm, the building is commonly bid, built, and tested according to the set of instructions given to the general contractor. These instructions are usually in the form of drawings, specifications, and a deck created both in the design and building phases of a commercial project. This is the blueprint from which everything in the structure is described in sufficient detail to be built accordingly. The better the documentation, the smoother the construction, and the higher probability of compliance with the Energy Code. Inspections for the Energy Code can have been allocated to design professionals administering the construction project. In some counties, as these professionals will generally be on site much more often than a code official. In this arrangement, an affidavit at the end of the project is provided to demonstrate compliance with construction documentation and the Energy Code throughout the construction process. Thanks for joining me on this webinar on plan review and documentation for commercial building compliance with 2012 IECC, Maryland's new Energy Code. You can find several other short webinars that address specific aspects of the Energy Code on the MEA website at energy.maryland.gov.